Everyone, welcome to another Something Bad Thursday. I apologize I had to delay this video. Unfortunately, I was pretty busy leading up to this weekend, and I needed some time to get caught up with all the videos I wanted to make. So without further ado, let me address what I wanted to talk about for this particular Something Bad Thursday, and that has to do with forcing opinions down other people's throats. Yes, this is a very common thing that I've been noticing lately, especially when it comes to social media and the way in which people sort of, I guess, uh, try to push forth their ideas. It's almost like if you don't hold the exact same viewpoint that I have, um, there must be something wrong with you, or you can't be right. I'm always right, and that whole mentality just seems to be very common these days. And I think it's really largely due to this sort of kind of team mentality that people sort of have. Like, you're on my team supposedly because you agree with me on this and this thing. Um, and to me, I don't like the idea of teams. In the sense I like team sports. I mean, obviously I'll root maybe for whatever team based on whatever. But to say that I have to hold the opinions constantly of a certain individual or group of people, I think is just a little ridiculous. And I think it's really what's fueling, I think, a lot of the anger and the um, sort of lack of understanding between people. Um, and I think, again, it's all of this. Uh, it's this constant desire to want to push forth people's ideas as some kind of dogma, like that it's this infallible thing that we should just follow because so and so tells us so. And that's the whole uh, mentality that I'm against, and I think it's ultimately bad. I'm not saying holding opinions, holding viewpoints, and expressing viewpoints is a bad thing. But what I'm saying is that there's a certain point to where it becomes, I think, very extreme and one-sided. And I find it hilarious because there'll be people who will be like, oh, you talked about this and this. Oh, that means that I don't agree with you. So blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get mad and angry at you. And, I find that kind of just, it's just not a way to have a conversation, I think. I mean, I think it's great to listen to people who don't always hold your viewpoint on things. I think it better enhances your ideas, and then it also um, allows people to, I think, have a little bit sense of civility, and I think this this often comes when people's viewpoints become way too extreme, um, because they'll hold on to that viewpoint like it's their baby or something, and I find that hilarious how like ideas are somehow, considered so highly valued, or certain opinions or lifestyles are so highly valued, and that we have to kind of force everything onto everybody, or kind of, you know create a certain kind of atmosphere instead of just letting live and let live. I mean, I just think that there's a point to where, um, even where social media takes it, where it's constantly the need to make people convinced of the way you see things, and at the same time sort of forcing a certain idea onto people. I think, generally speaking, people will come to a certain viewpoint and conclusion on their own. Um, I think that there is a certain amount uh, of people out there who uh, will open up to new ideas and learn new information. But I think when you're constantly needing to reinforce it and, just kind of just shove it down people's throat, it gets annoying. And it gets repetitive because they keep outlining the same exact points that they're supposedly against, and then saying the things that they're for and whatnot. It's like, okay, we get it. You've repeated yourself over and over and over again. It's really, sometimes these opinions are hilarious because, they're really beating a dead horse. Like, they are really just, let me put in more of my opinion and more of my opinion and more about my opinion and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same points. It's nothing new to the table that they're bringing. Again, I think this is why I think it's wrong to judge people based upon like these kinds of viewpoints. It's more better to, I think, judge based upon character than necessarily ideas. Now, again, you could argue as to whether or not certain opinions have an influence on the way in which people perceive the world. Obviously, yes, but I think the more opinionated people become, the more just, I guess, hostile they are with their opinions. And again, they hold it up like it's some god, or they treat it like it's gospel. And I think that's a huge problem, and I think that's really what's making it so that it makes us incapable of sort of really speaking to each other and kind of really seeing where the other person's sort of coming from. So I think at the end of the day, honest, open discussion is always, I think, a lot more interesting and a lot more engaging than just driving out insults at each other and saying you're an idiot because you disagree with me, or, oh, and then I love this one too. They'll say, oh, because you hold so and so point of view, that means you are the most extremist of crazy, when probably the person really isn't. I mean, most people, at least I think in this day and age, are moderate people. We're not the extremes that the media likes to pump out constantly, and that's what I think we kind of need to get back to, is this whole idea of just realizing that not everybody is going to hold your viewpoint. You're not going to convince people by shoving the same exact points over and over again. At the end of the day, people will find opinions, find things to look into, and they'll come to their own conclusions. And there's no point in trying to reinforce things that have already been put out and people have explored and tried to make public as far as a viewpoint. Because I mean, I see this all the time on social media, like the constant need to reinforce, this is what I believe in, this is who I'm voting for, this is what and it's like, okay, I get it, just can you just share cat videos? Can you just do that? Can you just talk about something cool that you saw, or talk about an event that you were at? Why the constant need to go online and force an opinion and be like, if anybody disagrees with me, then that must mean you are a so and so. And I mean, I just can't stand that attitude. That attitude bothers me so much, and I see it constantly, and I just look at it and laugh. I mean, again, I'm very big on observing this and definitely not participating in it because it's stupid. It's ridiculous. I mean, I just don't understand it. You're not going to convince people by constantly reinforcing and pushing it down everybody's throat. Just live your life. And, just if somebody asks you, hey, what do you believe in? Okay, that's my opinion. Okay, all right, this is what I believe. Okay, all right, go. Okay, we don't agree on maybe something. Okay, all right, fine. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't need to be kind of shoved into everybody's face, So I really honestly think that that's a better approach to things, as opposed to just going around and ranting and raving and complaining and saying so and so doesn't agree with me on a particular point, or so and so's not voting for so and so. I mean, it's so stupid. It's just dumb. It just does not make any sense. And it's hilarious because people like to keep reinforcing their ideas. And when I've already heard it the bajillionth time, I've heard it. I already know your position on this stuff. You don't need to share it with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what I think bothers me the most. It's just annoying to hear people's opinions constantly shoved down my throat when I already know, and I really honestly don't care. Like, I have an opinion on this. Oh, great. You're like every other person in the free Western world. Congratulations. Wow, you're allowed to hold an opinion. Good for you. You know, you don't need to push it onto everybody else and say that's the best approach or that's the best way to life. And if anybody disagrees with me, then you are just a blah 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 blah. And I think this is really the level of discourse that we've gotten to, um, especially when talking about really complex things uh, like politics and all of this BS. It's just gotten to a point where it's completely ridiculous, and I constantly don't need it in my life. I don't need it shoved everywhere. And it is everywhere. Like, people will just, and it's hilarious because they'll be like, "Oh, I unsubscribed to you," or "Oh, I'm not going to like this person anymore just because I don't agree with whatever or a certain thing that somebody said," or it's real. It's like, really, you want to just base your judgment on somebody just because they don't have an opinion that's exactly like yours. Like, you have to categorize them as the other now. It's like, really, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand this whole mentality. I mean, and granted, I think it's a little bit overblown from both sides of any issue, really. I mean, it's it's really annoying to be stuck in the middle of these two extremes, just yelling at each other constantly and wanting them to tug and pull at you constantly. It is annoying. It just drives me nuts. And I'm so sick of it. I'm just like, I'm not part of any of you people. Like, just let me be. Just leave me alone. I have my opinions, but just leave me alone. Jeez. Stop trying to convert me or make me into what you want me to be. And that's what I think is just so annoying about all of this stuff. It just annoys me that people feel like that they can force an opinion on somebody. I've had people that have disagreed with me on certain things, and I've frankly stressed my point of view, and it's totally fine if you don't agree with certain things that I have. Heck, I would be kind of disturbed if people agreed with everything that I said. But because I don't want to give off the impression like my word is God, because I'm not a God. I'm just some girl on the internet. So it's like, you know, I'm no better than anybody else. And I just think that, you know, or my opinions are no better really than anybody else's. But at the same time, you know, I think this constant opinion polling and people wanting to, you know, have me do something or support this or blah blah blah, or if you don't do this, then that means that just, again, it just drives me nuts. And it annoys me, and I think it's really bad for our discourse, and it completely demolishes any form of good conversation that can be had on any issue, and it's just stupid. It's just stupid, and I'm so sick of it, and I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of the opinion shoving of, yes, this is what I believe in. This is what I believe in. You must believe in what I believe in because what I believe in makes sense and blah 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 blah. Or what I believe in, it works, and this person, what he believes in doesn't work, and blah blah blah. And I have to constantly pull you into one, you know, the tug and pull of, constantly everybody throwing stuff at you and telling you this and this and that and blah blah blah. It's, again, it's just the again. I don't think having opinions are bad. I don't think expressing opinions is bad, but the need to force it onto everyone and try to make it appear like um, somebody is holier than thou. And I even see this on sometimes YouTube channels, and it's scary that they'll treat this person like this person cannot be wrong. This person has all the answers, and that just kind of freaks me out a little bit. I don't think one person can have all the answers to this universe. I'm sorry. That's just not possible. Again, that's why I think it's important to just, again, think for yourself, have your own opinions, and express your opinions. But again, don't be like, you are an idiot because you disagree with me. That whole mentality, and just constantly shoving an opinion down somebody's throat. I mean, I make opinions, but I don't say that my opinions are God. So I think that's really my point. Um, but that's just my honest thoughts, though. I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say about this, and what they think as far as this whole topic is concerned, because I think it's just something that's so common nowadays, and it's kind of unfortunate, and it's a little bit scary, but it's really, I mean, it's still first world problems, really, but at the same time, it's still something that I think really has the ability to really be harmful and um, really bad for our, I think, discourse. But that's just my honest thoughts, though. I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.